Hello and welcome. For millions of Americans, the day begins and ends with a conscious thought about their breath. It's a constant companion, the feeling of being tethered, of having to calculate the effort required for even simple tasks like walking to the mailbox or deharrying in groceries. It's a physical reality that can bring with it a profound sense of fatigue, a weariness that settles deep in your bones. But this is not just a physical battle, and it's so important that we acknowledge this right here at the start. Living with a chronic lung condition carries an emotional weight. It can be a journey marked by frustration, by worry, and sometimes by a feeling of isolation. Research shows that for those living with conditions like COPD, feelings of sadness and anxiety are not just common, they are a normal part of coping with a serious illness. I understand this can feel overwhelming, and it's perfectly okay to feel that way. But what if there was a way to support your body from the inside out? According to one of the nation's leading pulmonologists, with over 3 decades of clinical experience helping patients navigate these very challenges, the path to breathing easier often starts not in the pharmacy, but in the kitchen. In this video, we will distill years of that clinical wisdom to reveal the top 3 foods that this expert recommends to his patients to support their lung health. And the third food on this list might surprise you. It works on a fundamental mechanism that can help your body use oxygen more efficiently with every breath you take. Before we get to the specific foods, we need to address a foundational idea. It's a common and completely understandable belief that once lung damage has occurred, diet doesn't really matter. Many people feel that the ship has sailed, that the damage is done, and that food choices are a minor detail. But a top pulmonologist would tell you this is one of the most significant misunderstandings in managing lung health. The fact is, your lungs do not work in isolation. They are part of a complex, interconnected system. And what you eat directly affects the workload placed on that entire system every minute of every day. Food is the fuel your body uses for every activity, and the most energy-intensive activity for someone with a lung condition is often the simple act of breathing itself. I understand that hearing this might feel unsettling, especially if you've been told for years that the damage is simply done. But the goal here isn't to reverse the past, it's to empower your present. The science shows that we can significantly reduce the daily burden on our lungs, and that is a powerful, hopeful truth. To illustrate this, let's consider a story from this pulmonologist's clinical practice. We'll call the patient John. John was a 72-year-old retired mechanic who came into the clinic feeling utterly defeated. He was losing weight, and he told the doctor, "I get tired just eating my dinner." The sheer effort of breathing was burning more calories than he could comfortably consume, a common problem for many. The first step the pulmonologist took wasn't prescribing a new medication. It was a simple dietary shift. He advised John to focus on reducing foods known to cause systemic, low-grade inflammation. Specifically, he asked him to cut back on processed meats like bacon, sausage, and deli slices. These foods are often preserved with nitrites, compounds which researchers believe can cause inflammation and stress to the lungs. Within just a few weeks, John came back and reported a small but profound change. He wasn't as exhausted after his meals. He had a little more energy for his family. His breathing tests hadn't dramatically changed, but his quality of life had improved. His body was no longer fighting a two-front war, one against his lung condition and another against a pro-inflammatory diet. This experience with John is not an isolated anecdote. The pulmonologist explains that this is a pattern he has seen time and again in his practice. And it's a pattern confirmed by large-scale research. The landmark Nurses' Health Study, which followed tens of thousands of women for years, found a direct link. A dietary pattern they called the Western pattern, high in processed meats, red meat, and refined grains, was associated with a significantly higher risk of developing COPD. In stark contrast, what they called a prudent pattern, rich in fruits, vegetables, fish, and whole grains, was associated with a lower risk. The expert's takeaway is clear, and it is the foundation for everything that follows. The food you avoid is just as important as the food you eat. By removing these inflammatory triggers, you lower the baseline level of stress on your entire body. You create a calmer, less hostile internal environment, which gives your lungs the best possible chance to function. So if the first step is to remove the negative, the second is to intentionally add the positive. The first food our expert pulmonologist consistently recommends to his patients is fatty fish. This includes choices like salmon, mackerel, herring, and sardines. The power of these fish lies in two distinct, powerful mechanisms. The first is about calming inflammation. Fatty fish are the most potent dietary source of a specific type of fat called omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids. Research from leading institutions, including Johns Hopkins, has explored how these omega-3s act as powerful anti-inflammatory agents in the body. They help to quiet the chronic, low-grade inflammation that is a hallmark of conditions like COPD. And as we've discussed, less inflammation in the body means less stress on the airways. But there's a second, more direct benefit that is incredibly important for breathing. According to nutritional guidelines from the American Lung Association, your body produces carbon dioxide as a waste product when it metabolizes or burns food for energy. Here is the critical point. Metabolizing carbohydrates produces the most carbon dioxide for the amount of oxygen used. Metabolizing fat, on the other hand, produces the least. By shifting some of your calories away from simple carbohydrates and toward healthy fats, like those found in salmon, you can literally reduce the amount of carbon dioxide your lungs have to work to expel. You are making the very work of breathing more efficient. Now, preparing fish can seem intimidating. The simple, foolproof method the expert recommends is baking it in a foil parcel. You simply place a salmon fillet on a piece of aluminum foil, add a slice of lemon and perhaps a sprig of dill or rosemary. Drizzle with a little olive oil, and then fold the foil to create a sealed packet. Bake it in the oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 to 20 minutes. This method essentially steams the fish, keeping it incredibly moist and soft, which is perfect for those who may have difficulty chewing. The most common mistake people make is overcooking the salmon, which makes it dry and tough. A simple fork test works well. The fish should flake easily when it's done. If you want to be precise, an inexpensive meat thermometer is a great tool. An internal temperature of 145 degrees Fahrenheit is the target for perfectly cooked, safe salmon. And a quick tip, it's best to leave the skin on during cooking. It acts as a protective barrier between the flesh and the hot pan, helping to retain moisture and those healthy oils. Of course, what if you simply don't like the taste of fish? The expert is quick to point out that the goal is the omega-3s, not necessarily the salmon itself. You can get excellent plant-based omega-3s from ground flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts. Sprinkling a tablespoon of ground flaxseed into your morning oatmeal or yogurt, or adding a handful of walnuts to a salad are fantastic and effective alternatives. I know that adding a new type of food or a new cooking method to your routine can sometimes feel like one more thing to worry about. But I want you to see this not as a chore, but as an act of profound self-care. Each time you make this choice, you are actively participating in your own well-being. Start small. Just try it once this week. Our second food works on a different but equally important level. While fatty fish help manage the body's inflammatory response and metabolic load, this next food acts like a personal bodyguard for your cells. The pulmonologist's second powerful recommendation is berries, with a special emphasis on blueberries. The magic of berries, particularly dark-colored ones like blueberries, blackberries, and strawberries, comes from powerful compounds called antioxidants. The specific antioxidants that give these berries their rich, deep color are called anthocyanins. Think of it this way: the normal process of living and breathing creates something called oxidative stress in the body. You can think of it as a form of cellular rust. This process is a natural part of metabolism, but it is often accelerated in the presence of a chronic lung condition. Antioxidants are the compounds that help to neutralize this damage, protecting the delicate tissues of your lungs from this constant assault. This isn't just a theory. One compelling study followed older men and found that those who ate at least 2 servings of blueberries a week had a noticeably slower decline in their lung function as they aged, compared to those who ate few or no blueberries. Now, a common and very practical question that arises here is, do I have to buy expensive fresh berries for this to work? What about frozen? The pulmonologist's answer is a resounding no. In fact, frozen berries are often a superior choice, and here's why. Berries are typically frozen at their absolute peak of ripeness, often just hours after being picked. This rapid freezing process acts like a pause button, locking in their vitamins and antioxidants. In contrast, berries labeled as fresh in the grocery store might have spent days or even weeks in transport and storage, slowly losing their nutritional potency along the way. Multiple studies have confirmed that frozen blueberries are nutritionally equivalent to fresh ones, and in some cases, they can even retain more of their beneficial antioxidant compounds. This is fantastic news. It means you can keep a simple bag of frozen blueberries in your freezer for a convenient, affordable, and potent source of lung protective nutrients all year round. It is so easy to look at health advice and feel like it's just too expensive or too difficult to keep up with. It's a common point where many people feel discouraged and simply give up. Please, do not let perfection be the enemy of progress. This is not about a drastic, difficult overhaul. It is about small, sustainable actions. A handful of frozen blueberries stirred into your morning oatmeal, blended into a smoothie, or simply eaten as a cool, refreshing snack is a simple, powerful, and affordable step you can take today. How much should you aim for? Research suggests that benefits can be seen with amounts ranging from about 1/3 of a cup to a full cup a day. But please, start where you are. Any amount is better than none. Let's take a moment and pause here. We started with the core problem. Our lungs are under constant stress, not just from a medical condition, but often from the very food we eat. We've now introduced 2 powerful, evidence-based strategies from a leading pulmonologist. First, using fatty fish to reduce systemic inflammation and the metabolic load on our lungs. And second, using berries to provide direct antioxidant protection to our cells. It is crucial to see how these are not just 2 separate ideas, but a system that works in synergy. Think of it like maintaining a house during a storm. The omega-3s from the fish are like calming the wind and rain outside. They reduce the overall inflammatory pressure on your entire system. The antioxidants from the berries are like reinforcing the windows and walls. They protect the structure itself from the damage that does get through. One strategy makes the other's job much more effective. They work together to create a more resilient, protected environment for your lungs. You've stayed with us this far, and I want to commend you for that. Taking this time to learn, to understand these mechanisms, is a significant investment in your own health. You are already taking a step toward empowerment. But what if we could go even deeper? What if, in addition to calming inflammation and protecting our cells, we could improve the very efficiency of how our body uses oxygen? What if we could help our blood vessels do their job better, easing the burden on our heart and lungs with every single breath? This is the secret of the third and final food. It's a principle that top pulmonologists understand is critical for improving quality of life, and it's what we're going to reveal right now. The third food our expert recommends is perhaps the most surprising of the three. It is not exotic or expensive. It is the humble beet. Both the vibrant root and its leafy greens are nutritional powerhouses for lung health. The power of the beet lies in a compound you may not have heard of before: dietary nitrates. When you eat beets, your body has a remarkable ability to convert these natural nitrates into a molecule called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is what's known as a potent vasodilator. That's a scientific term, but what it means is simple and powerful. It helps to relax and widen your blood vessels. Imagine your blood vessels are like highways for your blood cells, which carry oxygen. When those highways are narrow and constricted, it's harder for your heart to pump blood through them, and traffic gets backed up. But when they are relaxed and open, blood flows more easily and efficiently. This simple action can lead to lower blood pressure, and most importantly, for our purposes, it can optimize oxygen uptake. It makes the entire process of delivering oxygen from your lungs to the rest of your body more efficient, less taxing, and less work. This isn't just a theory. Now, what might you actually feel when you start incorporating these foods into your diet? The changes are often subtle at first. This is not a magic pill. A key sign of progress, according to the clinical experience of pulmonologists, is not necessarily a dramatic change in your breathing test numbers, but a change in your daily energy and comfort. You might notice that you feel a little less bloated or full after meals. This is significant because a bloated stomach can push up on the diaphragm, making it physically harder for your lungs to expand. You might find that mucus, if that's an issue for you, becomes a bit thinner and easier to clear, which can reduce your risk of infection. You might simply feel a little less fatigue as you go about your daily routine. These are the small, early signs that your body's internal environment is becoming less inflamed and more efficient. These are the signs of progress. And for those who find the texture of beets challenging or have difficulty chewing, they are wonderfully versatile. Roasting them until they are soft and tender brings out their natural sweetness. And they are excellent when juiced or blended into a smoothie. A splash of beet juice mixed with apple or carrot juice is a simple and palatable way to get these powerful benefits. We have now revealed the pulmonologist's top 3 foods: fatty fish, berries, and beets. But as we've hinted throughout our time together, the real secret isn't in any single food. It's in the principle that connects them all. The grand unifying principle is this: to help your lungs, you must first help your body. You must work to reduce the total systemic load, the combined burden of inflammation, oxidative stress, and metabolic inefficiency that your body has to contend with every single day. Each food we've discussed is a specific tool to reduce a specific part of that load. Fatty fish lower the inflammatory load. Berries lower the oxidative stress load, and beets help to lower the circulatory load by improving the efficiency of oxygen delivery. When you adopt this single principle, the principle of reducing the total load, your daily choices become clear and intuitive. you naturally start to move away from foods that add to the burden, like processed meats, excess sugar, and refined white carbohydrates that offer little nutritional value. And you naturally find yourself moving toward whole, nutrient-dense foods that lighten that load. This is the transformation. It is a shift in perspective. It's a move away from feeling like a passive victim of your condition and toward becoming an active, empowered manager of your body's entire ecosystem. And when your body's systems are calm, protected, and efficient, your lungs have the best possible environment in which to function. That is where true, sustainable quality of life is found. So how do we put all of this together into a simple, practical plan? A pulmonologist would distill this down into 4 key actions. First, to reduce inflammation, aim to include fatty fish or other sources of omega-3s, like ground flaxseed or walnuts, in your diet a couple of times a week. A simple first step is to try 1 serving of baked salmon this week. Second, to boost your antioxidant defenses, add berries to your daily routine. A simple first step is to put a handful of frozen blueberries in your morning oatmeal or yogurt. Third, to improve your body's efficiency, incorporate beets and other nitrate-rich foods like leafy greens. A simple first step is to try a small glass of beet juice, perhaps mixed with a little apple juice to start. And fourth, a foundational habit for everyone: stay hydrated. Drinking enough water helps to keep mucus thin and easier to clear from your airways, reducing the risk of infection. A great tip is to fill a water pitcher each morning with your daily goal and sip from it throughout the day. As you consider this plan, I want you to hear the most important piece of advice a compassionate expert can give. Be gentle with yourself. This is not about perfection. It is not about a restrictive diet or feeling guilty about your choices. Guilt is a heavy burden, and you do not need to carry it. This journey is about gentle, consistent effort. It's about making one small, positive choice today, and then perhaps another one tomorrow. You are not alone on this path. Millions of people are walking it with you, and every step you take, no matter how small it may seem, is a victory. You now have the knowledge. You have the power to make a meaningful difference in your own well-being. Thank you for entrusting us with your time and your attention today. It is a privilege to share this vital, evidence-based information. Health is a shared journey. In the comments below, we invite you to connect with one another. Don't just share a tip, share an experience. What is one small change you've made that has helped you feel even a little bit better? Your story, your experience, could be the very encouragement someone else needs to see today. Remember, knowledge is power, but compassion is the key that unlocks it. Take care of yourselves and each other. If you found this information valuable, please consider liking this video and sharing it with someone who might benefit. And subscribe to our channel for more expert-guided information to support your health. We look forward to seeing you again.